Today's install is going to be for the Eurowise control arms with the poly bushings. Pretty easy install. This is going to be 221s for the camber / caster bolts. There and there. A 22 and 21 mil for the lower shock mount. And then a 21 millimeter for the lower ball joint. Next step is going to be the lower shock bolt. With the Eurowise air suspension lift, it's two 22 mils. Those were 21 millimeters. And then the stock ball joint is also a 21 millimeter. So last up is going to be removal of the ball joint. Then you're going to hit it with the hammer and you should be able to fish the control arm out. Once you get the 21 millimeter off, you could either use a ball joint separator or a hammer. Hit the knuckle. And that's going to pop out the ball joint from its spot. And then you'll be able to fish the control arm out for removal. Trying to fish it out. The clearance issue with the skid plate to the control arm bushing to the sway bar. You do have to remove the sway bar link to be able to get this out. After wrestling with the control arm and the skid plate, I did pop the control arm out. But if you're not careful enough, you can pop out the axle from the differential. So for that, you just push it back in and make sure that that surface and that surface are mated together. So before you reinstall the control arms, hammer the bushings out or the center sleeves out, lube them up, install them back in, and then you're gonna hammer these back in place. After you lube both of those sleeves up, you're gonna start off with installing the ball joint into the knuckle, and you're gonna get that wiggled in there, get the nuts started on that, and then you're gonna proceed with installing the two bushings. This is gonna be about 2 hours past the last snippet. We could not get the control arm squeezed between the axle and basically the spot for the control arm. So a 32 mil 12-point socket to be able to move the axle out to get the ball joint in. You can maybe squeeze it through. On my end, it was easier just to unbolt everything to make room for it. And then now throw everything back together. And here's how it goes together if you're not an idiot. All right, so this is the trick to get this in. Pull it out, jack it, and you push that in to bypass the skid plates. And then also make sure to wear socks with sandals. That will also help with the install. Next step is going to be lining the bolts up. The trick that I realized is you hammer it in there. You hammer it in this towards the center of the car. You jack it up from the top. And then you might have to pry it in to get that bolt to snug up. When you thread that bolt in, make sure that the eccentric is facing the same way as it is on the head part. When you put that on, and you throw your nut on there, and make sure to hit it with your purse real hard if it doesn't align. So after you push the control arms in, you throw the 21 mil bolts back in, reconnect your sway bar, rethread your axle with the 32. You lower the car, you throw the wheels on. You throw the wheels on, lower the car, and then tighten your 21 mils for the lift. And that is basically the reinstall. Sucks, it takes some time, but it's doable with basic tools.